Hello everyone, it's a pleasure to be here again at the Shaw workshop, although I would rather prefer that we were all face to face, but I guess that since that's not a possibility and maybe considering climate change not desirable, this is the next best thing. So I'm here today to talk to you about astronomy as a beacon for inclusive and innovative classrooms. And I would like to thank for the invitation to present this topic in this event. So I think I divided my presentation in a few steps, and I start by considering something that was a driver for us here in NUCLIO, which is the awareness that humans should have about our place in the cosmos, which is something that I don't have to tell you that isn't there at all. So one of the things that I really like to do is to show to everyone that space, and the Earth is included on that, is for everyone. And it's the same for everyone. Of course, it's not exactly the same depending on where you are on Earth. And I'm just telling you this interesting thing. In the last IAU General Assembly, there was this beautiful globe of the Earth. As you know, the IAU, the OAD, OAO, OAE, sharing the same space. They have this beautiful globe. And every time I went there, I turned it to a different position. And people would say, oh, it's upside down. Let's put it correctly. And I would say, no, this is not upside down. This is different. And I would turn it again and people would laugh. And then after a while, I would go back there and it would be again turned, and I would turn again. So I spent the whole week doing that, and that was really quite fun. And the conversation around, this action of perceiving what does it mean to have the north and the south, and why isn't there a proper position for our globe. So there you go, your first astronomy lesson. And that makes us think about something that is very important and that is trending in these days. I learned with some of you that probably are here in the audience, which is the importance of decolonization of education. We need to think about human beings in a spherical planet where things do not have to be northern hemisphere centric. There are many other ways of bringing astronomy to the classroom, and that is something that also should be thought when we're producing resources to be used in the classroom. One thing that I'm very fundamentalist about is this notion of scale, this sense of scale. We keep listening to people, developers, book writers, whoever, that, putting things in the same size, in the proper scale, is very difficult because, the sun is too big. So things that are usually ill represented in books, even in movies and short stories that you find done by space agencies, they don't respect the scale, and they don't explain that the scale is not correct. And as a result, we grow up not really understanding the distance scale and the size scale of the planets in the solar system. And this is the beginning of the misconceptions that we really have about our habitat in the cosmos. Also, humans have no idea of the privilege that we have of being inhabitants of the habitable zone of our solar system. And I found this beautiful collection. These are two slides where we can see and understand better what are the habitable zones and how lucky we are to live in this particular zone in our solar system. So as you can see here is our beautiful planet Earth, and this is showing what happens with the temperature if you are closer or farther away from the sun. So you all know that either it's too hot, either it's too cold, or it's just right for us to be here, right? In one place, water will be liquid. In the other place, water will evaporate. In the other place, water will freeze. But guess what? Humans don't know that. Most humans in this planet have no idea about that. None. Zero. And also, there is this notion that it's easy. We go anywhere in the universe and we will find plenty of places to live. Yeah, but we don't have the technology to go there, and we didn't find yet a place where we could possibly travel to, and we never found yet life in these other places, in the habitable zones of other stars that we have already explored. And this is showing exactly what's the difference of the habitable zone of a star, for instance, that is smaller than the sun, so it will be closer to the star, or if a star is bigger than the sun, then the habitable zone will be farther away. So there are considerations to be taken into account when we think about living out there in the universe. If people don't know about habitable zones in the solar system, well, we don't need to talk about habitable zones in the universe, in the galaxy, in our galaxy. But we are living in the habitable zone of our galaxy, which is something that is also very important to us. So we live in a galaxy called the Milky Way. We live in one of the arms of the galaxy. I know you all know that. It's just I'm just going through the content knowledge that is part of this presentation. And this galaxy is part of a bigger environment, which is what we call the local group, a small collection of galaxies. And we are also part of the Virgo cluster, which is a bigger collection of galaxies that in its turn is part of something bigger, which is the Laniakea supercluster, and which in turn is part of something bigger. And finally, it's part of what we call the observable universe, which is all that we can see due to the age of the universe. The problem is that most human beings don't know that. They don't have the possibility to know that, because this message is never conveyed to them. And to me, it's much more than teaching astronomy. It's a lesson of humility that all of us should have and come out of school with this clear and important message on our scale in this big universe. The second step to me is the importance of having literacy and critical thinking. This is much more important than content knowledge, because content knowledge we can find in different places, especially nowadays. But finding what are the good content and critically understanding what is fake material or not fake material, what has quality or not, is where the students need a travel companion, the teachers. So schools have a very big role in ensuring that this second step is part of the raising of our children, of our young humans. And science is very important part of the construction of this competence profile of the students, because it's the key to sustainability of our future. Science is an universal thing. There is no nationality to Newton laws or to Einstein gravitational general relativity. It's only one language. Everyone has to interpret science in the same way. Otherwise, it's not a scientific thing. It requires collaboration and cooperation. It requires sharing. Otherwise, it doesn't progress. It requires support. Look at COVID and how the pandemic was quickly addressed by scientists collaborating and cooperating with each other. It fosters amazing key skills that the future generation that is going to handle our planet should have in order to do a good job and empower free thinkers. Now we come to the question, why astronomy? How can we convince people that astronomy is important? Well, astronomy is the essence of what we are, humans. We are all made out of stardust. And in fact, any human is 99.9% similar to any other human in terms of genetics. And that says a lot about who we are. And I think that's a message that needs to be conveyed. Also, astronomy has an enormous capability of being multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary. So I don't think, and I didn't encounter so far, any topic, any subject domain that I couldn't teach using astronomy as a beginning. Astronomy is a driveway to so many different things. And we should use and show to educators and policymakers this power of astronomy, as was so nicely put together by the Office of Astronomy for Development in this image that I'm showing here. Actually, this is part of the IAU strategic plan from 2009. Also, the research in astronomy and space exploration comes directly back to us. Every investment that is done, not only all the money comes back to society, because usually space agencies are non-profit enterprises, but also the developments that are required to do the research that is necessary to understand the cosmos requires advances in technology, and all of them come back to us. So this is another important point why astronomy is important in schools, and also because future professions are certainly somehow related to space exploration, or many of them. The step 3, building the future, which is something that it's a big question mark. We don't know where the future is going to be, or where our students are going to be when they grow up. So we are responsible for paving the way for them. One thing we know for sure, we want them to feel excited about embracing their future and making their dreams come true. We want them to feel that they can be whatever they want. We want them to feel empowered to embrace with strength their future, with their challenges, not fearing what's to be coming ahead of them. Again, why astronomy? Well, as I said in the previous slide, many of the professions, if they are not there because of astronomy or space exploration, but astronomy is a driver to these professions. Bioengineering, smart designing, robotics, cybersecurity, alternative energies, neuromarketing, artificial intelligence, programming, so on and so forth. So astronomy can be taught in school, not by a book or by using a PowerPoint, but having students with their hands-on research, having students working with robotics, with 3D printing, having students working and helping educators, helping researchers in their research. So there's so much of the world, the contemporary world of astronomy that can be brought to schools. And that is not reality for all the domains that are out there. We need to make sure that educators embrace evolution. What's the meaning of that? What I want to say is that teachers don't know what's the future for their students. They don't know what is it that their students will need to work on. How do they prepare the students for a future they have no idea what's going to be? And that's what they have to embrace. Prepare students for whatever comes our way. To my belief and the dream that I would have, maybe I'm not correct, but I think that I believe in innovative schools where cutting-edge science is being brought to the hands of students, where they feel empowered, where they embrace projects where they are making difference to their communities, where they are already in school members and change makers of their community. I believe in schools with no classrooms, no classes, something new, something that is embracing that future as it comes to us, something where the students feel that they are coming from their home to the school and to the world of work, and they don't feel the transition. It's all the same reality to them. It's the future in their hands, and them being prepared to handle with resilience, with persistency, with no fear, the future that lies ahead of them. What are the main skills and what is the competence profile of the students that are leaving schools nowadays? Is to have digital literacy. They cannot go to the world of work without digital literacy. They need 21st century skills like collaboration, critical thinking, creativity, learning to learn, etc. They need to have human skills. And we are witnessing such a lack of human skills all over the world, which is, it's really frightening. Tolerance, patience, education, persistency, positive attitude, resilience. And teachers need to be using 21st century methods to prepare the students. And that is the part that is important. It's the teachers. It's the teachers. There is where we change the world. It's in the classrooms. It's by empowering teachers. Empowering teachers to be the best teacher that they can be. Empowering them to feel that they can be the drivers of future generations. They can be the one inspiring their students to embrace the future with strength. I found it was just a coincidence. I was preparing this slide, and I find it that is very important that we empower teachers to be the I teacher, the innovative teacher, the inspiring teacher, the inclusive teacher, the teacher that embraces interdisciplinary learning, the intriguing teacher, the imaginative teacher, the inspirational, interested, involved, a teacher that is happy with the work that they are doing, a teacher that feels this drive to train and inspire and empower and be there supporting the new generations. And we don't find that often in schools. I know that teachers want to be trained, but trained on what? What is it that they need? So this is on us to find out what exactly the teachers are in need to be able to embrace what they have to embrace for the future generations. Technology, of course, the use of technology is really important, but only if it is put to proper use, only if the school have a vision of where the school wants to go. I have some stickers of projects where we are working right now, where we are tackling some of these issues. So if you're interested, please follow us on these projects. Methodologies, innovative methodologies, the flipped classroom, the maker movement, design thinking, universal design for learning, game-based learning. There are so many different methodologies. Find the one, or help the teachers, help educators you're working with to discover what is the methodology that they like the best, or which are the methodologies that they are going to embrace in a different manner for different purposes. What are the tools that are good for the purpose that they have in their hands in the moment? How do I associate tools with methodologies? So this is also not an easy thing for teachers because there are so many tools out there. So which one is the best one for the purpose that they have in their hands? How to put space in the curricula, or astronomy for that matter in the curriculum, by using the scientific method, by doing interdisciplinary learning, train, prepare the teachers to embrace that without fear. That is an easy task to be achieved. And above all, we need to help educators to be inclusive, to use differentiation and personalization in classroom, to treat each individual as a unique human being, to empower each of their students as a different person and not with a recipe that is good for all of them at the same time. We need teachers to bring to the classroom innovation, the sense of perpetual discovery, where students are always thrilled by climbing the next mountain and putting a flag of knowledge on top of each hill that they have to climb. It is also important to avoid stereotypes, because often students will think, oh, science is not for me, that particular profession, I will never be good or never be able to do that. That is an assumption that should be brought down to the ground. No stereotypes. Scientists are human beings like anybody else. The difference between the teacher, the astronaut, or the astrobiologist, or the scientist that's observing the Earth, and the student is just a profession that they chose. The student should feel that they have the power to become anything they want. this is something, a message that is truly, truly important. And, you know, unfortunately, the world of science is full of stereotypes. Also important to foster collaboration. You know, those of you who know me, I hate competition. I love collaboration, because the more difference, the more rich is the experience of the student. So, educators, promoters of education, join hands the best we can, because there are millions of teachers out there in need of our help, and we are wasting time if we are competing with each other. So I just have finished my presentation saying that in the end, no matter how smart we are or how important our vision is, how right or wrong our mission might sound, it's all about people and the decisions that we make in our lives. So these are my contacts. You have here the link to NUCLIO, which is the organization I work for. You have more information about our projects there. You have my email, social media where you can find me. I'm not really active in all social medias because it's difficult to have time to be everywhere. But you can find pieces of me everywhere. And please contact me if we can be helpful to you in any way. And thanks again for the organization for having me.